Oh, so here we are. Yes, Pete from Simply Gorgeous. And we have a special guest today, and it's the Living Field, which can encompass a lot. So we have Sam, Human Sam, and he will be coming on very shortly. So the Living Field, about vibration, frequency, not going into the quantum physics of it, but into terms of real experience. Some quantum physics may come in. So I'm just going to hang on here, and he should be coming in very soon. So there's been a part one, part two. This is part three. So thank you for joining, whoever joins, and thank you for watching, whoever chooses to watch. It's very fundamental, I personally believe. And hang on, I'm just got to move something here. Okay, I'll be back in a sec. Yeah, I'm going to keep going just while yeah, there we go. So I'm just giving them a call anyway. Okay.
Oh,
So
hang on a minute. On the other way. Hello.
hello.
You right, Pete? How's it going?
Yeah, this is probably the second time I've done it like this actually. So it's yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we done it. I got you short notice.
yeah, proper.
I
That's
mean,
it.
it's really great. Whoa, hang on a sec. There we go. Press the wrong button. It's really great meeting other inspired people who can aspire to be in the moment,
Hmm.
and to be honest, it's like if we, my feeling is we're just putting ourselves aside, you know,
Hmm.
and if
Totally.
we, and it's just like, okay, it may not click for some people, but for me, it's like they're quadrupling. Time's just quadrupling. It's just like,
100%.
yes,
Exponential curve. Whoop.
yes,
That's
yes.
it. That's
And
what it feels like.
yes, and I think because it's really excited to have you on anyway. So this is Sam. We had him at our Simply Rogers Festival, and I was so pleased we had him there at short notice as well. It was a bit touch and go if I was going to do it, but we did it still,
Mm.
and people loved your talk there, and they really
Yeah,
did
yeah.
embrace it and love what you did there. And so I'm so pleased you could come on, and I spontaneously decided to do what I called the living field, and it was going to be every Sunday. But
Hmm.
when I done the first one, it's just like, well, there's other people I'd love to get on. And to be
Yeah.
honest, with all the new moon and the
Eclipse, yeah.
Chinese horse, yeah, the eclipse and the Saturn and Neptune,
Mm.
literally just both in Aries now. So there's a massive big shift. And even if anyone don't want to believe in that, if they really tune in and look around, feel their energy, feel the symbols, is
Yeah.
the outside world's very symbolic of that. So and I know you recently done 8 day fruit as well.
Yeah.
So and we had a Truthversation about I think it was either 4 or 5 months ago anyway,
Hmm.
and he was quite inspired to try it out. And so and I
Yeah.
know you do a lot as well. So so for me, the living field, it does come down to, for me, we are a living being. So if we can put more living energetic being. So, if we did a chart, I sort of mentioned if we did acidic and alkaline, we'd probably realize we're 90% unliving or what we're
Mm.
putting in our body,
Yeah.
things like that. So it's just to talk about, I've talked about experience. I'm not going to talk too much because I want you to talk, and certain experiences that I've had in terms of children, and when we are truly more clearer and not so numbed down, then we get back to that real empathic sensitivity.
Mm.
And I know why people don't. It's not an easy journey, you
No.
know. It's
No.
like, and then when you to stabilize it as well, because you're like this. real open person, and when you see what's going on and feel what's going on, we really have had to clean out our bin. Otherwise, we, flip back and forward back into our addictions,
Yeah.
So, so this is about talking about this field from different angles and really aspiring to give people tools as well,
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Sam, go, man.
It's,
Fire away,
uh, literally, I've just been speaking to Richard here about all of this, about fruit in
Mm,
general, and what it did for me, and the contrast when I came off it as well, the heaviness, the density. Although a lot of the clarity has remained as well, and
mm,
like we're in such a, like you say, such a an amplification of energetic time right now, which is just
mm,
beyond anything that we've known. We as
mm,
human beings are changing on a cellular level,
mm,
and so to it, we must then also adapt and evolve and grow with that, if that makes
mm.
sense. Now,
Yeah.
doing the fruit for the 8 days has been fascinating, and I think it's quite intimidating for a lot of people. It certainly was for me. It got to day 8 and it got really stressful, and certain things happened. Um, but the contrast of also then going back onto heavier foods, dead foods in essence, is
Mm,
what we're saying.
mm,
That showed me, wow, hang on a minute, there's a lot in this. And not
mm,
only it was inspired by the festival that you put on as well, and seeing the brightness in everybody's eyes there.
mm,
But my one of my mentors, called Michelle Vickers, she did a masterclass on it. It was at like 2 in the
mm,
morning. She's in Canada,
mm, mm,
and I was like, whatever it was, I was like, I've got to listen to this. I have to listen to this. There's something in there. And past psychic readings and things have said to me, your body works at a very high level. You want to be on like liquid diet, is what he said to me,
mm,
but definitely
mm,
vegan.
mm,
And then this was, there's so many colorations and discernments going on, that have happened
mm,
over years within my own life. But like, it's like the universe has created fruit and foods like that, light foods for us to eat for a reason. Because
mm.
even the difference, Pete, after like 2 days
Yeah,
was
I remember.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I was dipping in and out, and you was just like flying. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I felt the first so many days of just shifting to raw, which was, I would say, more lettuce. The only main, if it was more heavy, still a fruit, classed as a fruit, would have been the avocado with big salads. So
Mhm.
I was just, honestly, I was just, as I'm feeling now, it's like more you clear out, your inner's cleaning out, so the outer world is manifesting that. So it did feel like
Yeah.
everything's going too fast, like
Mhm.
boom, 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 where it's being made, little maybe 10 mile an hour pace, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, oh, whoa, hang on, 50 mile an hour, can I handle it?
Yeah.
So. And then I did sustain it from that point because of a very safe wake up call for me. So, 18 years being on the, raw vegan, but, the first so many years more heavier. And I adapted things after about 4 years with detoxes and parasite cleanse. And they are also important. And it's just not the food. So I think as I, don't want to bash anyone. It's just, the more we bring in lighter foods, the more we can really be, I would say, less triggered, less controlled, more critical thinking, and potentially, aligned to whatever is going on. And we would be, I would say, helps us to be more present, truly more present in the moment, as
Yeah.
to just reacting to old fear, the classic, false evidence appearing real,
Mhm.
So, so if there is a tornado coming or a tsunami, yeah, of course we take whatever caution we could, but we would hope we would take the best caution, rather than being just literally in fear about it and then probably
Yeah.
making all sorts of kind of errors, because of it's triggered a deep buried trauma in us that we've never really resolved. And then, and that all manifests in relationships with our children. Children are conduits,
100%.
and then we were. So then there's this, kind of, fight or flight. Everyone seems to be more in fight or flight, and that seems to be the norm. And you step out, and then, you could be kind of ostracized for being more the norm, and more
100%.
calmer, more balanced, and etc. etc.
Yeah. I think that was the noticeable thing, Pete, with doing it for even just 2 days. I was like, okay, right, there is something in this now, and it's time to listen to this, And it is, it matches up with what, literally, I've got all these like journaling on what Michelle Vickers was saying as well, and all of the discernment is going, yep, yeah, okay, cool, and it isn't for everybody at this moment, I don't
Yeah,
believe. But
and
I
that's
do
it.
believe it's kind of where we're meant to be going, is down lighter food. You think about it, you're eating something with an aura.
This
It's
is
got
it.
an aura to it. It's alive. And
Mm,
that is going into you. That is becoming you. You're becoming more alive from that,
mm,
and it's
mm,
this
mm,
reciprocal, lovely, balanced nature to it all. I'm just speaking to Richard about it all as well. I'm
mm.
going into such depth with it, really. But like, you know, every single thing runs in your body runs on hormones, amino acids, and proteins. And like a lot of this, you can get from way.
I don't know what's happened there. I've gone
a
in.
lot a
I'm
lot of
not
it you can
sure.
get from fruit. But
Indeed.
like you say, our brains will want to try and justify not doing it almost because of the conditioning and things. Oh, well, it's hard to go out for a meal, and that's what broke my fast was the meal. Really, it was me deciding, oh well, I'm gonna have a lax day today and all the rest of it. But I noticed a massive difference.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but now,
just I'm going to try and you carry on. You carry on. Don't know
will
what
do.
happened there. Doing this
Keep them
funky thing.
entertained.
This.
That's it. But yeah, it's like muscle testing every food as well. Putting it against your lower dantian and seeing if your body wants it in that moment. And it
Yeah,
may not in other moments. That's the other thing as well. So it's like on a daily thing of what your body wants. It knows that it wants it. If that
that's
makes
true.
sense.
Yeah, that's something I've only recently more attuned
The
to
ideology.
after
Yeah.
so many years of just the regular, big 2 liter smoothie that sustained me till my main meal. So
Mm,
I realized, that was very a transitional thing for me.
mm,
What I noticed, I was sharing something the other day, and then, I had learned certain protocols, whether it is mastery, esoteric, whatever we want to call it, but astrology, rebirth, breath work, and dream work, when I was 17, many years ago, over 2 years, and what would be classed as well, I would say, in the living groups would be close to shadow and constellation work. Basically just going lots of inner, inner, introspection, inner, going deep inside, honestly,
mhm.
working from the lower chakra up. So whatever we're suppressing, our shadow, our blind spots, in one group, it was just coming up. And then things that I had forgotten, were coming up. And it's like, whoa, and generally traumatic because the
Mhm.
space was held. So I learned a lot there. And then, kids, family, mortgage, etc., etc. And then that failed. I can go into that, but won't go too much into that. My point here, and I tried other things, this, that, but I never had the food awareness. So
Mm.
that's the point. And it's only just recently, like I say, over the 18 years. So I had that bit, which is pretty, holds me in that great stead, should I say.
Mhm.
And so the food over the 18 years is, it's like the other bit of the jigsaw puzzle,
Yeah.
for me, and which makes it more easier. And then this practice I learned about 19 years ago and certified in it, Jin Shin Jitsu. So that's a great one you can, do on yourself. So I'd have a craving, and then I would just be doing my, Jin Shin Jitsu. And then similar to the group work, held space, boom, a craving,
Mhm.
doing my flows. It took me to an experience, of a trauma. And I was having them for years, years. Obviously, I did mention in the last stream that I still get snippets of them. So I won't say you're constantly clearing out, but whatever may happen through the day, the subconscious picks up on so many things around, even if we're not consciously aware.
Yeah.
So like a computer, you're on a computer all day, you look and all these cookies have tried to get in, but if you haven't got a good firewall, which we just haven't,
Hmm.
there's loads of stuff filtering in. And if we're not doing some kind of cleanse work, hence why things never really change, and then
Yeah.
we become self-fulfilling prophecies, etc., of a story that we've never been able to go deep and resolve. And then
Yeah.
there's all your ancestral stuff, it's like, you
Yeah.
know. So
And
here
if
we
you
are to break that, eh?
Yeah,
Phew.
exactly. Hey, like this is it because we're not just doing it for us. We are a part of the whole, aren't we? And it's like once
This
we
is it.
start to clean our vessel, then those things can come to us easier, and they're not as heavy because we're not as heavy within ourselves, if that makes
Mm.
sense. And it's like what
Yes,
Michelle
yes.
says as well. She said within because she channels angelics and the creator as well, and she's saying like this is it, it's going to trigger a
Mm,
lot of people because food is such a crutch for people. And when you take that away, they're
mm,
like, whoa, hang on a minute. And I noticed
mm,
that within
mm,
myself as well. But it's about
mm,
finding, like, I love what you do as well because you create recipe books around raw food and make
mm,
these,
mm,
like at the festival, that plate of food that you gave to everybody, it was just unbelievably colourful and beautiful.
mm.
And you can, as
Yeah,
you're
thank
eating
you.
it, you're like, whoa, yeah, like this is doing
Mm,
something on a deeper
mm,
level, not just the love that goes into it, but the love that has been created through nature. It's passing
mm.
effortlessly, and it's
This is
all
it.
about the effortless nature of this reality. But
Mm,
like Michelle says as well, like when you go onto fruit, things like depression, anxiety, they disappear because
mm,
there's no longer any density for it to hold to, if that makes sense.
mm.
It's like sure
Yeah.
things will come up, but she says like all of these supplements and additional therapies and things like this become obsolete because you've now got to a point where you're a clear tuning fork almost for your
Mm,
own. Okay, that feels
mm,
all right. That doesn't feel all right. Whereas most people are going like, I don't feel that great anyway, so I'm just trying to keep myself to here, to here, to here.
mm,
When
mm,
actually the scale goes beyond, it's
mm,
infinite almost, isn't it? So
mm.
you start
Yeah.
to then attune to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for that compliment. Yeah, with it's trying to keep them as the food untempered as possible. However, we do gourmet because we choose to be more of a bridge. So if we can create foods that are just blowing people away and
Mm-hmm.
similar tastes because we all have the emotional attachments to food, then that's I believe a great start for people. And then in relation to when you the more clearer you are, or the more the bin is cleared. I use an analogy. It's like the plane, like spirits, cannot just land because our bodies are cluttered. It cannot come in, or it cannot be expressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there's a natural law of in terms of vibration. Just natural law. It's just there's a mismatch. It couldn't. Could you imagine with all our blockages? It's a bit like detoxing quick, and you've
Mm.
just been toxifying yourself for years, and you just want to jump into a quick detox. It's like no, because
Yeah,
all that's just going to come out in one big, you know. Well,
blob.
you're gonna feel it. You're gonna be,
Yeah.
laid out for days. So it's a bit like a higher, lower, purer vibration coming in, are coming in. I want
Mm.
to own it, not keep
Oh, it disappeared, Pete.
this phone out. So yeah,
Take it
it's
back.
so the big thing, the living field. That's why I called it the living field. I'm actually doing a book called The Living Field and Children as Mirrors. Oh my word, that's been really
Nice. I love that.
that's
The
sort of
purest
really
mirror. It
yes,
is.
aren't they?
And
So
they just
that's been kind of tripping me out really in terms of over the years of different experiences. And then, with our new one, 3-year-old, I know you have a daughter as well. So,
Mm,
we learn so much from that. And if we are willing, and once again, like you mentioned, the foods or tools and protocols,
mm,
enable us to kind of really see a bit more clearer and be in the now. So be as more present with our children, more present with
mm,
our partners and other people. And as I mentioned quite a few times, what's the best gift we can give for our children or anyone is truly more our presence.
mm.
And there's a classic saying, all you can do for me is keep working on yourself. All I can do is keep working on myself, and why? Because just by you elevating yourself, it's going to ripple off whoever you
Yeah,
meet, on a subconscious level, never mind about
yeah,
conscious.
yeah,
It comes in our field.
yeah.
So, yeah, so I love what you're doing. I love your work, what you're doing as well. So, that's why I really wanted to get you on as well. But I mean, carry on talking. I mean, as you know, there's many sayings, but I'm just going to bring it down to more practical. It's just like whatever may be coming, whatever.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you want your vehicle to be in its best shape? You know, to
Yeah.
be, it's not so much get in fear, be prepared, but it starts when you start doing the journey, like the experience you had. For me, I had that. It's like, wow, how can I sustain that feeling? And
Mm.
it's not like a high and low. Eventually, you just meet a kind of, you get to the 0 point
Yeah,
equal. And then, you realize when you're off. And for me,
100%.
you always come back there. And then you
Yeah.
realize if I had never had this awake, let's just say safe awake calling or wake up call, would have never known I had that connection up until about 16. Would have never known it. So we all have had it. We lose
Yeah.
it at different times and we forget. We get so buried. We get
You
so
do, don't
busy.
you? That's it. Yeah. So busy, so distracted. Again, just speaking to Richard about it, most people are living a life of 9 to 5, hustle and grind,
Mm,
keep drudging away, get paid every
mm,
month, and that's it. And
mm,
that's life. And
mm,
for most people, they don't have time to be able to explore this side of themselves. I think the
mm,
gift that has been almost we set up for ourselves before we came into this reality was that of just like, right, we're going to take you outside of all of that and you're going to think it's a really bad thing. And then you're going to go into yourself and you're going to go deeper, deeper, deeper,
mm,
deeper. And you continue. It's an endless thing, isn't it? It never
mm,
stops.
mm,
And that's the beauty of it. But exactly what you say, when you get to that base level point of what it feels like to just be you, where you're present,
mm,
there's nothing murky around you anymore.
mm,
You can then go, okay, I'm off there. That's something that's off there. Oh, I'm doing that there. You're
mm,
now observing yourself in
mm.
essence,
Yeah,
acting
the
in
witness,
certain
isn't it?
ways,
Yeah.
playing out old patterns,
Mm,
old karmic cycles. Why do I do that? Why do I have a propensity to that? And it starts to all come to you effortlessly almost. And that's
mm,
exactly what all I'm doing online is I'm going like, I'm trying this. I
mm.
may fail at it
Beautiful.
because that's one of the biggest things. Oh, I'm going to fail. It has to be perfect. That's a conditioning. That's not
Mm,
me,
mm,
And I think exemplifying a way to be for people, then they can either choose to come along for that journey and go like curious, oh, what's this? And it's again, speaking with Richard about it, is
mm,
about becoming again as a child. What does a child not
mm.
do? A child isn't around going like judging that, labeling that as
No,
something good, bad, right, wrong. It's just going, way, what's going on?
no, this is it. This
What
is
can
it.
I explore in this? What's over
Mm,
there? Why is that
yeah.
person being like that? It's like,
And then,
how can I show more love there? And that's the beauty,
mm,
the
mm,
center point that you get to that most people are yearning for. I see it in the eyes of people that I speak with, daily basis. Everybody's lost in this thing, and it's like, I'm here for something more, and I don't know what that is, but I know
mm,
it exists
mm,
because or else you wouldn't know. It's like, the only way you can know you're hopeless is by being hopeful. It's like the only way that you
mm,
can know that you are worthless is being worthy. So it's
mm,
like, all of those are there, and we're just coming
Yeah.
back to ourselves. And I think people like you and I help other people see that they're so much more than what they think they are, through our
Mm,
own journeys, and
yeah.
it's endless, and that's the beauty of it.
It is,
Yeah,
and what mentioned duality. If it was just one thing, so called the
yeah,
good or the light, we would never know anything else. So you can
be flat.
see, you can see. I'm going to say, you can see. Maybe it has been needed. All I'm going to say is, okay, us dark bits, come on now,
Yeah,
let's just get on with it. Huh? Let's Okay, we can see that, we can rationalize it, but hey, come on now.
yeah,
Don't you think we've done enough of that? Don't you think,
hmm
the torture, the murder, the rape, whatever,
yeah,
whatever? And, really, ultimately, if we could really get the essence, it's the inner programs, the inner us, and on a level, there's parts of us being siphoned out all the time. We not being accountable for our whole energy field, we can
yeah,
only do our best, and my sort of never say that, but we can only be more accountable for ourselves, not to
mm,
be caught up in the fear, as yeah, things may still come along, but once again, it's more when you clean yourself out. We talk
mm.
about the child. 1 minute it's crying like it's devastated, and then within a minute later,
It's
it's just like
laughing. Yeah,
happy. It's just like whoa,
yeah, yeah.
So,
Whoa,
but when that comes back in
whoa.
yourself, it becomes beautiful, And then for me, that's only come back because not consciously wanted to go back into all these traumas. It's just like, okay, that's another one. That's another one.
Yeah, we spoke about
So
this, didn't we? That's it. Yeah, I love it.
yeah,
Hmm.
and finding, through the food, through the jinshin, it could be through yoga, qigong, or other
Mm,
practices. Obviously, I shared you some of the ice bath saunas. There are other
hmm.
protocols that I was having a group of people, all different, even stuff in the womb and all different things coming up that they remembered, which
Yeah.
I've had going back in the past groups. So, I think it's to give people, inspiration that for me, being so kind of energetically crippled, and yeah, couldn't wait for the Big Mac and all these
Hmm.
programs to come out of it, and 18 years on a journey and really loving life,
Yeah.
not going to big it up any more than that, but just knowing where home is. That's that 0 point. So that's so lost, when we talk about lost, so
Mm.
it's once you have a snippets of more of that connection, and you keep doing them, sort of the things that are supporting you as opposed to compromising you, then you come home, then
Self-love. Yeah.
that's it, and then this is your home, where do you live? I live here,
Yeah. Yeah.
so and it's so beautiful, and then you really forgiving. Forgiving, acceptance. See, there's these words, forgiving, closure. It's just like ultimately we got to be careful. It's like we can rationalize and say, yeah, I've got closure there. I forgive that. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it shows
Is
in
it
the
felt?
person,
Hmm. Yeah.
and really on a level, have I accepted all of me up until my age now? I think whatever age anyone is, have they embodied it, embraced it, and have they don't have to so-called resolve it, but in themselves, is their nervous system regulated? Are they relaxed? If I mention the topic, is it going to, race?
Hmm.
So that will really tell you if we are kind of more connected, present, as well as different events that may trigger that. Different people may look like someone like your mum or your dad, and this
Hmm.
triggered a certain experience, and you're locking horns with them, but really it's just still your dad's stuff and your mum's stuff. And then it's like, oh my gosh, if people could just realize, just do the work on ourselves and
Yeah.
stand in love with ourselves, and you meet someone standing in love with themselves, and you come in, you meet two lovers meeting, not
Yeah.
falling,
Yeah.
which I've done a few times. But
Mhm.
stood. I would say stood then fell. But
Yeah.
society, and the system, and you do your best. I look back, did my best to what I believed, and it was just like,
At that
whoa,
time.
I
Yeah.
wish I had more data.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. But it's gained, isn't it? Every day, it's all gained
This
every
is it.
day, more and more, and that's the beauty of it as well. It's like the one thing I did want to mention, Pete, is like I know you have like anti-parasite blends and things like this because I
Mm,
feel as though there was something still there
mm,
on a parasite sort of like within my body almost, and
mm,
would like to try some of that really to see what sort of effect that had as well, if the cravings were any less or what happens
mm.
there, and if there's a protocol that you can follow that maybe you could share with other people as well as regards to that. Um,
Yes, I mean, there's so many protocols out there, isn't there? There's
mhm.
the,
You can get
the
lost in it,
classic
yeah.
clove, black
Wormwood.
walnut,
Yeah.
wormwood. I've we did our own. We made certain capsules, using that mix with oregano, and but we did other intensive using herbs. There's actually herbs for cravings. I don't know it off the tip of my tongue, but we really did a 19-day, I think, yeah, last year, maybe about 6 months ago, and that was just epic. And we stayed on juice, and we
Hmm.
did the parasite cleanser. Oh my gosh! And then got quite into Rejuvelac as well. You read up
Hmm.
on Rejuvelac, that's just mind blowing. So we was really banging on about that. That was really exciting. The main founder of that, Anne Wigmore. We did do wheatgrass, and we did venture in with the enemas when you're doing,
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, certain fasting. You don't really want it hanging around and just reabsorb it.
yeah. Same as
Um,
saunas as well, isn't it? As you cleanse the
oh,
inside, you've got to cleanse the skin, then you also have to
yes,
cleanse the colon. It has to be an all-in-one job, yeah.
that to fast track it and to make yourself kind of feel good on the fast.
Yeah,
I look back on my first ones and I didn't know about enemas, and
yeah.
I just probably blanked
Live,
it.
live and learn.
So
That's
it's
it.
like, men, what?
Yeah. What,
So
where? That's it, yeah.
I know. So, to me, I just see it as like, I'm cleaning the pipe, it's like your
Hmm.
chimney or
Yeah.
your waste pipe that eventually, gets blocked if it never gets cleaned. And we could
Hmm.
say if we regularly put in more, alive, living food, then you would never have that problem. But
Yeah.
we haven't, have we? And we look at the early years. I look at my early years, and it was just cloggy stuff. So, and that hangs around for many many years. So even the lining of your large intestine, I realized after so many years, it's like, why didn't people tell me? It felt like what I was eating. It honestly felt like more was coming out. I was sort of in this kid energy, and it's just like, when the
I'm not
kids
in.
ask, you
Yeah.
could say silly questions, but to me that wasn't a silly question. If I weighed what went in and weighed what came out,
Yeah.
so
There's an
what
imbalance.
was I
That's
what
it,
what
yeah.
what was I absorbing? And then
Yeah.
you realize, my colon was the lining was still clogged. This is why there's
Yeah.
some good colon cleanses. I've never actually done a full-on psyllium husk and bentonite clay, but I've played with them as well as other herbs. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would strongly recommend this honourable priest Kailash's herbs parasite
Mhm.
cleanse to him. He's had it from one or two. It's been in his homeland, and I've actually been on the land up in the mountain. Equivalent to a blue zone,
Mhm.
pure, lovely, fresh spring sun. So that's where they're all grown. So no, no pollution. So, I can put a link somewhere, maybe on this chat when I put it on the my Instagram, a link
Mhm.
to that. So why do I say that? At the moment, I'm really suspicious of anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
The
Good crystal
oregano, I get,
mind,
I
isn't it?
must admit, it feels very pure. you know.
Yeah.
So as well as I know, I've been on the land a few times, and you know, the guy's so honourable, so respectful, so
Wholesome. Yeah.
yeah, and he's done so much work for for people, you know,
Yeah.
generous work, and
Yeah.
so you know, like I say, such a honour to actually be invited there, and an honour to meet him. So I would really recommend, you know, the Honourable Priest Kailash's protocol. I did
Hmm.
do some of it when I was there as well. This was 8 years ago, and it was just like, whoa, you know, it just feels like everything's coming out. And that was just with one of the tonics he has, you know, and
Yeah.
it's supposed to, you know, do a quite a lot in terms of whether the eggs and the parasites. I mean, you get many different saying, different kind of whether it's pumpkin seeds, papaya seeds, you know,
Hmm.
um, some do the eggs, some do this, some do that. So, you know, I'd recommend that. As well as, you know, there's a great one, Professor Spira, you know, mucus-free diet, and he's very big on lemon enemas. Once again, when someone was telling me about that about 10 years ago, I'm like, I tried a lemon once, and I'm like, I'm never doing that again. However, I did, when I chose to do a cleanse, I did do lemon enemas. And I must
Hmm.
admit, within 2 days, what because I do check. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to check. What came out in 2 days was
Yeah.
equivalent to what came out in 5 days of a parasite cleanse. So
Wow.
that was really interesting. However,
So,
you know,
so
you
that's
did,
just lemon in your
you,
enema kit with
yeah,
water.
yeah, you would, you know, make sure you get organic, and
Yeah.
you could use you could actually, yeah, hot water, clean the outside, literally cut it up, blend it with water. I use distilled, and
Oh, so the
then
whole lemon itself, then, yeah. Hmm.
you can
Okay.
with the pith as well, and then seal
Okay.
it into your enema bag.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know,
Give it a
and
go.
if people don't want to, you know, venture down there, for
Yeah.
me, that really dealt with the inner lining, you know, and the kind of mucoid. Um, I'll say,
Plaques and
yeah,
things. Yeah. Hmm.
the mucoid
What? How
plaque,
long
and
did you do? How long did you do that for, Pete?
you know what? I sort of forgot, but my partner reminded me. In the first two, say, strengths, 10, 14 days, each day got a little bit better, but you're supposed to handstand. So I'm going to
Okay. Yeah.
contradict
Yeah.
myself. I'm going to contradict myself a bit. If I did a handstand when it's in me, it felt like it was never getting better. So what I realized is as if it's going an inch further down each time.
Okay. So
So,
it knows
so
almost. It's smart, isn't it? Yeah. Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
no, if you're doing the handstand, the lemon is going more down your large intestine, so
Yeah.
it's
I
cleaning
always
its
tend to
kind
do
of
downward dog and weird positions and shake and things
yeah,
like this with the coffee and whatever
yeah.
else. Yeah. Hmm.
So, but you know, people don't have to do that. You know, there is
No.
tonics, like I say, going around in the market. Me personally, my experience from that, I do that as well. I mean, so yeah, I can put a link. But in terms of going back to like the living field, so this is about the living field, and you know, to me, the living field is what we mentioned, like the child, us when we all came in, we were more closest to source, the
Yeah.
divine God, the living field. You know what? You know, to enter the gates of heaven again, we have to become child again, childlike.
I've
So,
just been,
so
I've said that twice in the last half an
yeah,
hour with speaking to
yeah,
Richard because that's it. You're not judging anything, you know. It's, you're just, way,
this is
this is
it.
awesome, you know. It's like God is here,
However,
you know.
you know, whatever age we are, and whatever, not just age, is maybe how much we've
Mm.
reiterated, and
Yeah.
imprint and program and
Karma,
trauma.
yeah. Hmm.
So, you know, when you say, hey, you didn't say, hey, that's all we got to do, but it is kind of all we got to do. But oh my word,
Yeah, exactly. To
it's just
get
like,
there.
it's like, is this ever going to stop? But it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. But
And
you start seeing it differently. I think that's the big thing on my journey is you start going like,
mm,
ooh. Whereas before, people are maybe listening to this and going like, you do what with what? No, that sounds awful. I'm never going to do that. It's like my
mm,
parents and things. It's just like, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to go into a woodland for 4 days and don't eat or drink anything?
mm,
It's just like
mm,
because I want to see if I can. It's
mm,
like when you want to sweat your head
yeah,
off and go in cold water, that's horrible. That's uncomfortable. It's like because on the other
uh,
side of it, you find a deeper level of who you truly are, and that's the
yeah. I mean,
curiosity of the child, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that sounds great. As well as I would say, we've our parents, mum, dad, we've lost the connection. So, we would have once all known the more natural way of bringing
Yeah.
our children up, our youth up. So we've lost that. So here we are aspiring to get back to that. And I think if we get the essence of that, then we have to be accountable for looking after that child when it's switched off. So,
Yeah.
whether mine was 2, 3, who knows? There's, you visited trauma when I was 3, and then I'm sure there was many more before that. Doesn't mean you have to visit every trauma, but you just doing the work. Just realize, the more we have the correct tools, then it's not really going to manifest in the outside world. However, if you're going to go on a fast, it's better to be more in your own space or a held space.
Mm.
Otherwise, it's playing out in unconscious people, and then you're caught up in the very same story, and then see that didn't work. It's just like, there's so many self-sabotage things we do,
Hmm.
which, I got really good at because I was really good at it. Or
Yeah.
good at seeing because I was really good at it. So then you can catch your mind. It's like, oh my, even my hands would be like doing something to sabotage me having the raw food over. This went on for about 2, 3 years. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
that again. So just so the mind would say, oh yeah, I'm not going to bother now. But
Yeah.
it's just
So
like,
it's a process, isn't it? That's it.
and
I
then,
think that's the most valuable thing from a very human point of view. It's
mm,
those things where we're going like, oh, it's quite easy to just go and do that, isn't it? And I could do
mm,
that, and then you give yourself these reasons to, but then each time you're growing a level of discernment with it all, and that's the beauty that you gain from going, okay, I may feel as though I'm back here again now, but
mm,
actually I know what that is, which is a little
mm,
bit further forward than where it was
mm.
before, or a little bit more expanded is a better way to describe it, I think. And that's
Yeah,
why we do these things, is to,
yeah,
to
and
see what that is and integrate it
chipping.
slowly, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you said something earlier as well. So, that we can use the word the war on the minds. Our minds have been hijacked. Our minds have been um, junctified with all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm even
Lies. Yeah, it's
when
lies.
yeah and when I kind of going more deeper, I look back and I'm visiting horror movies, this and then what's that popping up? So it's all in my subconscious.
Yeah.
So that, and then me, I used to do fishing and kill the fish, and then I'm having images of me putting worms on the hook and all that, and having to release. Well, okay, that weren't really very cool, Pete. Not
Yeah,
that we,
I'm thinking these things as well. That's it, because I'm still a fisherman as it is. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really interesting. And now I'm
mm,
thinking about the karmic imprint of it as well.
mm,
All of my dreams are fishing at the moment. But it's
yeah,
like you recognize, is that all right? And I used to
mm,
say this when I was fishing at the fishing lake with other people and saying it's a bit weird though, isn't it, how we do these things?
mm,
And that then as you move forward and you progress and you grow in your consciousness, you then to expand, and then it's finding compassion for yourself. That's
mm,
been the hardest
yeah,
part for me, I guess, is that
mm,
finding compassion at times
mm,
for myself when you have
I
done
think,
things unconsciously. And I
yeah,
think the
I think,
whole of humanity is so scared to
mm,
move into that place because they're going, it's like my dad said perfectly the other day, he's just like, it's like, I'm defensive over this. And, really what he's saying is I'm scared. I'm
mm,
scared that, I want to be right. It's almost like he wanted to say different things to me, but the truth came out. It was very strange,
mm,
Pete. But
mm,
And I noticed and I said, no, it's okay. It's okay to feel like that. It's all right. You haven't done
Mm,
anything wrong, you know. And
mm,
it plays into this thing of humanity has had this overlay of fear laid over us. And we all think that we are that person. And on the
mm,
other side of it, you realize you're not. But you
mm,
do have to be accountable for it, you know. And
mm.
that's us clearing our karma. That is clearing karma in essence. We're going,
Yes.
I'm now
Yeah.
accountable for this. And I also love the fact that I wasn't aware at that time. So I'm able to then show myself compassion because then when other people are doing it, you can be a light for them as well, if that makes sense. You know,
Yeah, it's
deeper, deeper
beautiful.
levels of compassion. Yeah.
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 Sometimes, you know, people will project different things. It's like, well, it's all right to be sad, and it's all right. There's something to say. I'm not saying it's fine. My motto is, okay, if it comes up, get in it and get out of it as quick as you can, like a
Yeah.
child again. If you're gonna,
Yeah.
even this is interesting, parenting. It's like, well, am I gonna just allow the kid to cry and cry and cry? No, he needs to, or she needs to let it out. Now that's an interesting one. You know,
Mm.
what I'm aware of is if you do, if it goes on for a long time, they're really doing your tears. You know,
Mm.
they're doing the field around them. Me, I will kind of, depending on what age they are, or I have in the past. It's not like to try and distract them. It's just like
Mm.
to, okay,
To allow. Yeah.
give them some comfort, allow that, but it doesn't feel right to let them hang in there.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
me.
I'm here, isn't it? You know, when you need me, that's it, you know, and I'm not going to
And then,
judge you
and
for
then,
crying because when it triggers parts of us, I've noticed that, doesn't it? You know,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
when
yeah.
they're crying,
Well,
it takes us back to that moment when we weren't heard and we weren't seen and we were ignored almost, you know. So that's
that's
why it
it.
hits us deeper, and that's ours to then go,
Yes,
okay, I can
yes.
allow that to be there.
But
Then you
once you,
start to alchemize
that's
it.
it. Yeah. So once
Yeah,
you clear that,
Mhm.
it's not shutting them down. It's just like, wow, once
That's
you
it.
clear that, I believe you can come to a more balanced, let's just say, balanced way to be with your child or whoever it is, not saying we're perfect, whatever that word means.
Mm.
So again, I'm going to bring it back to the living field. We mentioned about parents, we could talk about love, how do how could we really know love until we really embodied that in ourselves?
Mm.
Was our parents really in love or were they still in the imprint, in the programs and lust? Potentially there. So, that's what we're working with. If we don't want to, say it's like a battlefield, but it is kind of like a battlefield. So it's
Mhm.
knowing the field we've come into. It's not a very living field we come into. And then unconscious majority of the time, mum and dad doing their best, but there's the ancestral trauma still coming in and shutting us down. So we pass it down. So again, but we're coming out of that and we're going to
Yeah,
change that. We're going to shift that. So don't want to sound, pessimistic. It's just
not at all. Yeah, it's
knowing the
all
field you're
optimistic.
in,
Yeah,
said, wow, once I really saw that happening, that the children are just copying the emotion of someone just walked in.
yeah,
It's like, whoa, so that would have been me,
yeah.
me being the young
Karmic
kid.
loops, isn't it? And it's like these
Mm,
these these fractal patterns work on like an algorithm, and that's why there's no offense being taken to it because it is algorithmic. There's no
mm,
random events that happen in this universe. Everything is orchestrated by a bigger divine force than we know. You think you get into a
mm,
fight with somebody in the street and it's a random occurrence. It's not. It's been
mm,
put there to test where
mm,
you're at
mm,
within your own awareness, isn't it? You
mm,
know? Same with the
mm,
kids. Like they've come in to show us to us. You know,
mm,
it's like as a pure mirror that they are, and that's the beautiful thing. But
mm,
these ancestral loops have been overlaid over our consciousness for so long that we're
mm,
coming in with a broader awareness or a more expanded awareness that allows us to see the objective view of what's going on, I guess, you know. And it's
mm,
like, okay, I see how this is going now, and that isn't creating coherence, that's creating distortion. So now
mm.
it's up to me to then view that and then be able to do something about it from a place of calm non-reactivity
This is
to a
it.
point, but you will still react at times, and that's
Mm,
also okay. But then
mm,
each time you react when you are being conscious, you're then like, oh, so it's almost like the energy of it gets more amplified each time, so that then
Mm,
it breaks because you go, I will never ever do that again, if that makes
mm,
sense. It's like, well, the next time I will then view it from this place, but it's all in the subconscious, like you say, and we're
yeah,
breaking those recursion fractal patterns that
that's
happen
it.
time
And like
upon
you
time.
mentioned, yeah, being the witness, being able to be the witness. And then
Mhm.
someone, we could be clever. Who's witnessing who?
Yeah, exactly. The
Fine.
witness of the
But
witness
just
of witness.
be the
Yeah.
first witness. You can be a second, third, if how many witnesses there are. But
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
even just be the witness of our behavior, and so we can really choose. And then, when you mentioned about the I'm going back to the living field. So if the child is learns senses from their mum and dad,
Mm.
they imitate. So they
Mimic.
would be
Yeah.
imitating presence if our
Mm.
parents were present.
You
They would just be
exemplify it.
they would
Yeah.
just be there. They don't need no intellectual telling them what to do. They'd be just flowing with the mum and dad,
Yeah.
free flowing and
I'm
acting out.
copying this. Yeah.
That's
Because it's
it,
just been shown to me. And that's the effortless nature of this reality that we live in, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
it's never changed through any type of control or force. All of
Mm,
that is becoming so
mm,
heavy and dense for a lot of beings. For a lot of beings, not
mm.
everybody. But it
Yeah,
is
so
when you're in that field and you're aware of the field and what the field is and how it works, then you're a much better place to be able to create coherence within the field.
that's
And
it,
that's all
yeah.
we're learning how to do day by
Yeah,
day, every day. It goes on and on and on. It's
that's
like,
it. And recognizing, are we ever there? It's the stating, as soon as you
yeah,
think you're ever there or think you're ever know, you've
yeah,
stagnated,
yeah,
got rigid. It's just like, let it go. Why do you're locking onto a belief system? Where's there?
yeah,
Well, knowing, what? Generally, if we change the word I know to I've experienced, then we wouldn't be saying I know a lot, or many people
yeah,
wouldn't be saying I know,
yeah,
because it's flippantly thrown around. And
yeah.
so, for the people listening, so yes, living, the field is about, obviously, this is our temple. How can we, different analogies, how can spirit really come through the pureness, the child come back? Then there's a need to clean the body,
Mhm.
because it cannot reside in a kind of, garbage bin, or it cannot come in. It cannot,
Mm.
with let's just say, more the lower
Yeah,
density
the
stuff,
chakras, yeah. If you're trying to
stagnation.
create from the bottom three chakras, there's going to be distortion because that is what is here now, and it's like what we're doing is getting it past the heart, really. Yeah, energetically.
This is it.
Yeah.
Funny, the first group I did, when we did a living group, it's exactly that. We went up to the heart.
Mm.
None of us could get past the heart at that time.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
It all went, ooh. It's
Yeah.
like, even though some people claimed there was in their heart, but they
Yeah.
just to
No,
pieces.
that's it.
That's many years
It's
ago.
like where
So,
are we truly coming from? Yeah, that's
so
it. And
tools. I mean, you mentioned. I mean, I don't want to be pumping my ebooks, but you mentioned, yes, with the food, and we do have ebooks.
mm,
Which has been really nice to kind of get together. Just a little story in there, and the festival book that is people were asking me for years. Does have, I think, from about page 96, a bit about trauma, emotional cravings, jinshin, jiitsu flows. And again, I mentioned before, food. These are called 22s under the collarbone. You
mm,
can just 5 minutes with them, and then after food, um, inner thighs, cross hands. So they're like your prebiotic, probiotic. So all
okay.
these supplements and food and everything, you can really, if you're getting sun and hugging the trees in the woods, bare feet, and doing certain flows, you definitely would not need as much food,
Mhm.
because you're also clearing, stagnation and let's just say deregular nervous system to come back to a more regulated nervous system. All these
Mm,
help. This helps you to reset. So it's a bit like resetting your phone, resetting your computer.
mm,
It brings you back to wherever to a given moment in any time. Jet lag,
yeah,
anything like that, it helps you to come back.
yeah,
Our
totally.
hands are so
It's like a
important.
structured thing, isn't it? Almost. It's a
Mm,
routine or you're bringing a break or a pause to the thing that you're doing, in essence, and that's
But
always a
then
good thing.
when you realize, so these are jumper cables, you know, it's like,
Hmm.
you know, your car's a bit flat. Beautiful thing I loved about Jinshin Jitsu was, you know, it's not so much like Reiki. We just get out the way, clean, you know, make
The
sure your
essence of
battery's
spirituality.
charged, and just, I'm putting my leads on or my hands onto certain parts of your body to remind your body. That's all, you know, to
Yeah,
help. Oh, boom, kick-started your car. Right, your alternator is going to be working, and you know, it's self-generating from the air and the oxygen, basically, after a while.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so,
exactly. That's where it's
so,
leading to, isn't it? But we've
yes,
got to.
yeah.
We don't have to, but like we're now in the process of breaking the limitations
Mm.
of everything. All
It
rules
really
about
feels
what we
that.
thought. Yeah, that's
And
it.
even, you know, I do like to throw in because, you know, it's not, you know, being for the cynical people, even if it isn't all this, as you people might think that's fluffy spiritual, this is mystical, whatever. Even if it's not, you know, honestly, but why don't you want to be there truly for yourself, for your partner, for your children? You know,
Yeah,
if it's not doing it for yourself, you know, for society, for the world, you know, there was a saying, you know, it's, once again, I used to, you know, fish, kill my own fish. I used to eat the flesh and everything like that. And again, I'm not going to beat myself up about that. I'm just moved on. You know, be who you want to become, you know, be the change. However, you know, and that was when I was more traumatized from inside, you know, and my dreams were really more messy. I came off all that. My dreams are more clearer. Not saying we don't still have it, issues coming up. So I, you know, praise all the people and give so much gratitude for the people who are on different journeys. And if we go
mm,
back and forth, at least they are trying and they're doing their best to not abuse others, abuse
yeah,
themselves. So great vegans, but step it up, come off the dairy. I mean, vegetarians to
yeah,
vegans. And then, you know, it's fine if we stay there because what have we done? We really, really saved a lot more harm,
yeah,
which other sentient beings, which is a part of us. And
mm,
then, you know, then there's the cook. So if I was God, it's like, yeah, but you're still my children. You're still doing cooked and heavy, dense food. You know, yeah, beautiful. Thank you for not sort of still, you know, perpetrating, aiding and abetting and all that madness. But now, how about yourself? You know,
yeah,
so we're all God's children. You know,
yeah.
so some
And it's a
people say, well,
reflection, isn't it? That's it.
mm,
You can
mm,
almost tell by people's actions where they're at within their own journey of that. And then
mm,
finding the divine awareness of that, you're able to then help guide people to back to wholeness, in essence. That's it.
mm.
Healing and wholeness are the same thing, isn't it? And things
Yeah,
change.
that's it.
But I think, yeah, it's we all notice within our own lives are the things that we're attached to, I guess, that aren't necessarily good for us or others. But then as you
Mm,
gain awareness, then you're able to really sort of like let that go. And I can guarantee it that the divine will then put something that is um, better than you could ever imagine on your
mm,
plate, and that can
mm.
only be received when you let go of the certain things, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
yes.
that's it.
And there's a lot of letting go, you know, but in our life at the moment, you know, with certain circumstances, it's been interesting. You know, it's you go away and certain things happen. It's just like, oh my word. But
Yeah,
all by divine. So I'm not going to blame, get stuck into the drama.
yeah.
It's just like,
Judgment. Yeah,
whoa, you
that's
know, it's
it.
just
Yeah,
like, well, you know, certain circumstances have gone this way. Okay, been presented with that, and you know, whether, for instance, being authentic to myself ultimately, regardless of what others may think, you know, the biggest thing, am I doing any harm, etc., this and that, and being, you
yeah,
know, loving, caring. Well, yes, I am. However, they're always going to find different people finding different points.
yeah,
What I would say to them people is look at that, what you're projecting out, you know. We keep checking what we're projecting out, you know, bring it
yeah,
back. Do I do that? Oh yeah. Am I doing that?
yeah.
Yeah, you know. It's
No,
just
I
like we
don't do
say,
that, do I? And it's like, oh, I must do. That's it, isn't it?
oh,
It's like.
I've had some battling nights
Ah,
sometimes.
it's it, isn't it?
I
You know,
don't do
when
that, you know.
that's really triggered me. I do that, don't I? I must do because or else it wouldn't trigger me in some way. And it's like, oh, there it
You
is.
know,
Ah, nice. Yeah, good for me. Yeah,
you know
that's
what?
it.
I won't get something won't let me sleep,
Mm.
and I'm battling, and then I get an image of where I've done that exact same thing. Like, oh,
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
but you know,
that's it.
they've had to work. They've had to work hard on me for 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. That's a little bit.
Listen, past tense, past tense. So,
Yeah,
you know, for the viewers or whoever gets to watch this, yes, my journey's been through a few modalities, didn't work on their own. Food for me was the jigsaw puzzle. You
yeah.
know,
That's what
that's
I'm
how I was
finding.
able to sustain it. And that's when I say foods, yes, I'm on a raw vegan, live it, we call it, over 18 years. And you know, that's just not it. You know, when we just sort of say raw, there are lots of books, lots of tutors back then who, you know, very cashew agave based and certain things that really on a level are setting anyone up to fail. Even when people say vegan, I tried it. It's just like, well, what was you eating? And it's just like, well, you know, kind of on purpose, you're set up to fail. You know, we need to go deeper, and it's
Yeah.
not for everyone. Well, what you ate, you know, isn't really food. You know,
No,
even
that's
on
it.
a
It's
vegan.
all the
So
processed stuff. You know, I'm vegan, but I still buy the vegan burgers and things in the thing that are full of rapeseed oil and all the rest. It's like that's not it. You know.
but we just do our best. So I'm not knocking anyone here.
No,
It's just like
totally. That's it.
we see where we, if we chose to really look deeper, we could, you know, I'm sure I could show people, I've showed many people, you know, if they want to look and if they invite me, you know, where I've seen where I keep fail or could have failed many times and coached people, helped people. And, but the biggest thing really is we are addicted
Yeah,
to our foods. We have a heavy addiction going on, and it's been allowed to run rampant and not addressed because it serves whether the pharmaceutical and serves, you know, many other things, and you know, keeps us a bit more dumbed down, etc.
definitely.
So we're really addicted to certain chemicals, and if you go past that, the biggest thing is a big thing. Another thing is if we really want to be accountable and responsible, we have to go visit some of them things that from the child which is shocked and trauma the child. So if we bear that in mind and realize when something comes up, go in, ring
Yeah,
someone, find someone who might have some advice, find out, you know, or do some more of your practice, dance, sing, and
yeah.
just, you know, be with yourself,
Express.
do breath work. And
Yeah,
then, you know, your spirit would just hopefully come through and just show you what it was and ping, it's gone, you know?
yeah. And it
So if
happens
we,
so quickly, doesn't it? As well, it can. The potential of it. I think everybody's like, "Oh, it's a drawn-out process. I have to integrate this." It can happen very fast, very fast.
and
Yeah,
then this can be your meditation. This you can be what's the word? Like this is like the if you're breathing deep, it's all happening. This is all your regression. Your regression can happen in the very in front of your very eyes. Me and you talking together, we've talked before, and we're clearing as we're talking. So that's how it would have been. And then there's nothing more to clear. You're just there, you know. So rather than, you know, you mentioned an interesting point that the channel has said. It's just like, yeah, if we all took what become more accountable and more lighter fruits, liquid, etc., there would be no need for the so-called healers. So, you know,
100%.
you know, so after doing my parasite cleanse 2012, I realized, oh my gosh, as much as the hospitals are caught up in it, if the healers, so-called healers, aren't addressing that level,
Yeah,
unknowingly or knowingly, or I'm going to say there's another level of
yeah,
keeping us in a samsara, you know, keeping us in a loop, keeping us in the karma loop.
100%.
And
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 relying
that's
on something external as well. That's the big one. Yeah, that
yeah,
subserviency is the big one, isn't it? That's
yeah.
overload.
This
Oh, I
is it.
need
So
that. What if the hospitals aren't there? well, then we learn through ourselves, isn't it? And I think that's the reason that we're doing the work that we're doing and experimenting and finding out so that we can know within ourselves what works and what doesn't at a
This is
certain
it.
time as well. But it's so
And
vast, but it is very simple at the same time. That's the paradox of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and especially the ice bath saunas and what you're
Hmm.
saying you've done today, it really keeps the spirit there, and some people could say that's detrimental to your body. As far as I'm concerned, it's not. It's kind of shocking
Yeah.
off whatever's stuck to you. Again,
Yeah.
we talk about, you know, we don't really have a firewall. At the moment it's like we've got all holes in our aura. Like anything can come in, and then our minds being coerced into kind of creating these little entities who we
Mm.
believe we are, what we are, and how we judge. We've all been sort of sexualized, and from movies, pop stars. So you've got to clear all that perversion out and all these programs we've got to get to get back to
Yeah.
a more innocence. And don't give yourself a hard time with it's an ongoing. We all realize it's an ongoing thing. So don't just switch off. Oh, I can't do that because I'm so in that. No, just
No,
start doing
no.
little bits.
Tiny
Work on
bit.
it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
bit by
almost making
bit.
the choice. I say this to people, it's like these recursion loops are broken by me, say I get my jumper and I just throw it down on the couch, or I get it and I fold it and I put it down on
That's
the
it.
couch. That's breaking the recursion loop.
There you go.
That
Yeah.
then amplifies. So it's
Mm,
becoming just more aware of what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it.
mm,
Are we doing it gently and softly? What is it the
mm,
saying? If you want to be like the Tao, be slow like a cow. And it's just like the cow is
mm,
just chill and
mm.
chill. It's like, there's no
Yeah,
rush.
beautiful.
And then notice when you're speeding up, that fear that comes from speeding up, because that's the hustle and grind, quick, 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 proactive all the time.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
balance that. Recognize it's like there is
Yeah.
a time to move and there is a time to be still. That's it.
Mm. And it's beautiful learning astrology around that time as well. And I think it's 46 years ago with them
Yeah,
groups. And oh wow, that's just amazing. Imagine once you start seeing how it equated to people, to
yeah.
me,
Parallels.
mm.
Yeah,
And how she was defining
collective
me. And it's
shifts.
just like I felt kind of, naked. And then I'm
Mm.
like youngest of six. So as soon as I worked out after a year of, wow, mum, when was Thingy born? When was so getting everyone's
Yeah,
chart?
yeah,
Oh my gosh, it's just seeing. Oh, that's why she's the most favorite. Oh, that's why,
yeah,
Moon, Jupiter, Sun. Well, everyone's
yeah,
gonna love her, kind of vibe. Anyway,
yeah.
and then
That's
the
it's the
last.
same with the human design as well. It's like that's why I love the human design, and I go into it with people. It's like because it makes them go like, "Huh? How? How is this? How does that know that I'm?" But I love what it said. What? And it's like, yeah,
I
because
know
you
it's
are it
amazing.
all.
Yeah.
You're all of it. That's the beauty of it, and that really opens people up into the unified consciousness, which is where we're heading towards within ourselves, and then
And we're
that's
more
felt, isn't
than.
it?
However, we're so programmed. I'm back and say, guys, you're all easily read until you
Yeah,
sort out your programs.
yeah,
So
yeah,
whoever's, I've
exactly.
had people come here, this, that, and I'm like, they're still stuck in their south node, in terms of a astrological
Hmm.
story. And then I was stuck in it for 20 years. I look back and it's like, I've done it again.
Hmm.
Another
Yeah,
20
yeah,
years. Why? Come on.
yeah,
So, and then the Chiron, the wounded healer, is
yeah,
great. I use that in terms of with the Jinshin Jiatsu. It all fits in Jinshin Jiatsu. And the mudras, you can work with the mudras. So,
yeah.
yeah, I'm
So,
kind of doing a package there, and certain more deeper, the field kind of astrological readings as well. Starting to do that. So just quickly with the hands, people looking. So these are just easy, simple things. So the thumb is yes, it's stomach and spleen. So you're harmonizing, I remember my daughter when she was 4 many years ago, she'd go, I'd tell her that, and her friends would be upset or something, and say, oh, just hold your thumb. She'd come back and tell me, oh, and she felt much better after. So it's
mm,
it's, it's harmonizing the stomach. And then, so basically, fear. no, sorry, worry, fear, anger, sorrow, trying too hard, pretentiousness kind of thing. You know, if you're doing too much, and that's connected to the heart and small intestines. If you're pushing, hence the heart stroke, you know,
Yeah.
strokes, heart attacks. So, you know, the farm in terms of worrying, boom, fear, you know, so that's kidney and bladder, basically gallbladder,
Adrenals, yeah.
liver, and then lung, large intestine, and then, like I mentioned, heart and spleen. So just by doing
All
that,
connected.
sitting on the bus, sitting down, you're harmonizing. So all the energies that's always out everywhere, just by you touching yourself, you're bringing it
Yeah.
back, you know?
Mm.
So, you know, the classic word soul retrieval, you're doing your own soul retrieval. You know, all
Yeah.
the fragmentation or where we keep losing ourselves, you know, because
Mm.
we've still got these programs about him, her, how it looks, which is all us, by the way. So until
Yeah.
we clear that, you know, find tools to clear that worm. So they're good tools. That's a good tip. Before food, they're called 22s, just under the collarbone. After food, um, inner thighs, cross your arms. Yeah. That
Hmm.
naturally makes me breathe. You just relax. It can be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then eventually your body knows, he's having food. So boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Also it does. Your hands are electric, so you're plugging into meridian lines. Like literally, they call it the grandmother of acupuncture. So it's like instead of
Mm.
having needles, you're just doing it with your hands. So they just wanted to share some people with them, you know, tips. And what advice would you give? Should we leave people with, or would you like to leave people with? And it's great having you here. Obviously, it's
I
great
would
having you
like,
here.
yeah, thanks, Peter. Really, really enjoyed this. I always enjoy when we speak. I knew it from the moment we met, I think.
Mm,
But what I'd like to leave people is go and explore stuff,
mm,
go and explore, go and see, like test
mm,
what it is that we're saying here. See how it applies in your own life. Does it work? Does it not work? What works for
mm,
you currently?
mm,
And just see what you're open to, because like openness is the best term for God, the divine, that I've found. You have to be open in order
mm.
to allow in a
Mm,
change, a
mm,
positive change.
mm.
But if you're fixed and you're closed, then that stops that energy flow.
Everything's just black and white then, isn't it?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why I
Good, bad,
started.
right, wrong.
I had the Jinshin first. Well, it could have been yoga, could have been Qigong, could have been Tai Chi, which opened up the gates, opened my awareness to receive about the food, you know,
Mm.
18 years ago. So yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Love this.
Awesome. It's been really great. And like I did mention, you know, I was going to do once every Sunday, but it's like, you know what, I'm going to try and get someone tomorrow, or if it's not, chat tomorrow. And just at the moment, I'm just being spontaneous. So that's another thing I'd like to throw in. Be spontaneous, you know,
Yeah,
follow the thought, follow it. And that didn't work. Okay, beautiful that you followed it. Keep following
yeah,
the thought, you know, and then
yeah.
your
What did
intuition
work
becomes
in that?
stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
definitely.
know, then you can start defining your more true, authentic self, as
Yeah.
opposed to potentially the monkey mind making you run around in circles chasing
Yeah.
peanuts. But you know,
And you find God and you find the flow of the Tao when you do those things. It's like now, it's like these 3 days. Literally, I was just said to Kate the other day, I'm just like, I'm going in my car. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. I know I'm going down to my lockup and I'm taking stuff out, and then I don't know. I stayed in a lay-by last night, overlooking a beautiful bit of the Lake District. Then today I was like, I've no idea. Well, all right, I know. I'll book a sauna. Met a lady who was born on the same day as me, in
oh
the
wow,
sauna,
wow,
and
wow.
she's a holistic healer and things. And I'm just like,
Mm,
wow, in
yeah.
dipping in the thing. And then it's like, I know I need to go down to Ambleside for whatever reason. Drove down to
Mm,
Ambleside, then went to
mm.
Windermere, and it was just not giving myself excuses not to do things,
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
being in that
Yeah.
adventure, because life is an adventure. But the way that we're set up, or it is set up at the moment, is that it's scary to step outside of that routine,
Mm,
go and see what can happen, and
And
watch
we,
how the
yeah,
divine will excite you,
and that's
in those
beautiful.
things.
Yeah, you know, and I would like to share the same thing. Come on, you know, for the people who truly maybe want to, you know, move on, move through things. Yeah, be spontaneous, you know,
Yeah.
and give yourself nurture. Give yourself time, you know,
Yeah. Give
and
yourself
allow.
reasons to do stuff, not reasons
Mm,
to not do stuff. I think that's the big
this is
one.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it there, Ed. So there, anyway, this is called the Living Field. So we
Love it.
keep doing this, and I'd love to have you on again, Hugh.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Thank you very
And
much, Pete. And
and
yeah,
it'd be really, really great to catch up sometime.
yeah, nice. All
And
right.
thank you,
Well, I might be
audience.
doing a bit. I might be doing a bit of work down Reading way actually. So if I do, then I'll come down and see you. I might be. I don't
Well,
know. We'll see.
yeah, we're actually in Morocco at the moment, so.
Oh, were you? Oh,
Yeah,
class.
yeah, yeah. So there's,
Oh,
we have some narratives running, and there was purpose why we're being here in terms of supporting someone and other
yeah.
things. So yes, we're here going day by day, really,
Thanks.
and
Love it.
see what presents to us. Anyway,
Yeah. Spot on.
thank you ever so much, and whoever's listening, yes, big love.
Yeah.
Follow your intuition, heart,
Yeah. Totally.
embrace, let
That's
go,
it.
let go, let
Be
go.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be surprised by life. That's it. Totally. Anyway, thanks, Pete. All right, mate.
Thank you. Awesome.
Loads
Bye
of
now.
love. Toodaloo.
Thank you.